My name is Robert Dandy, and I'm an independent business person here in Northampton County. I've lived in the Lehigh Valley for all of my life, and I'm very concerned about the direction that our local economy is taking, that our local governance is going, and wanted to interview here Daniel Campo, who I consider a friend, someone I admire a lot, and have gotten to know over the past year. Dan is running for county council in Northampton County, and he's here now to talk to me a little bit about himself, why he wants to run, and what he expects to do as the next county councilman in Northampton County, Pennsylvania. Dan, how are you?
Good. How's it going? Thank you
It's
for
going
having me.
okay. No problem. So, again, as someone who has been here my entire life, I've seen many changes in the Lehigh Valley, some for the better, but many, unfortunately, for the worse. We've seen our industrial base go away. We've seen the decline in the quality of life generally. We have a lot of congestion on the roads, and the growth here in the Valley of population has largely been mismanaged, unfortunately. All the while, we're in a political environment that's unique to our time. And again, I'm very appreciative, knowing you the way that I do, about how you have acted and have chosen to run for office. Northampton County is a bellwether county in the entire United States for elections generally, and wanted to learn more about you and talk to you publicly here about yourself, your background, why you wanted to run for county council, and other topics that we may find of interest.
Sounds
So
good.
talk to me. So you're Daniel Campo. Where do you live?
So I live in Bethlehem City, right across the Bethlehem Township, right there by Stefco Boulevard. I've been in Northampton for close to 4 years now.
Uh-huh.
I used to live in Jersey before.
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Not
correct.
old Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No.
The new one.
The new one, right.
The new one improved.
The new and improved Jersey, yeah.
But far before that, as you hear by the accent, originally I come from Venezuela. I left Venezuela in 2007 because the socialist slash communist revolution, and we moved into Mexico City first in 2007, as I mentioned, until 2014. Then we moved to New Jersey for my mom's job in 2014, and I've been in the United States ever since.
Wow. So that must have been, quite traumatic for you to leave your home, the country that you know, in that time, 2007, you said, then move to Mexico, then try to get here to the United States.
Correct.
How was that process for you?
So the process living in Venezuela, to make the long story short, my mom, well, the Venezuelan government wanted to put hands on the education system, not just the public, but also the private schools.
Right.
They wanted to change the curriculum to make it more like the Cuban curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
So when my parents realized that, and my grandparents being Cubans that escaped the communism in Cuba to Venezuela, they were like, we cannot have this happening.
Right.
So my mom and my dad started looking for a job outside of Venezuela. My mom's company got a wind of that, and they say, don't leave yet, we'll transfer you somewhere else. And that's my mom company moved us to Mexico City. So she stayed within the company, and that was a blessing for us that they actually
Clearly
help us to leave Venezuela without having to start 100% from zero.
Right.
Yeah, we started with not knowing anybody and everything, but at least we had that little big support that we had from my mom's job helping us move into Mexico.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. How was it adjusting to the United States at that time?
When I came here in 2014, to be honest, it wasn't too difficult. At the beginning, my English wasn't the greatest. I could survive, but it wasn't too good.
You know, I didn't do well in English class either, so I don't think that you have to worry about that.
Exactly, but same with Spanish for me. But when I came here was, trying to speak to people. They will understand me, but it was a little tough. But other than that, everything was pretty smooth. First, I got the first experience of moving out of Venezuela into Mexico, so I already got that big first shock of
clearly
changing. Now the second one was going into English. I had a base on English, and so that also helped. Once I got here, I graduated high school. I had a small group of friends. I came in senior year, and I joined the fire department. That's when I actually, let's say, flourished in the United States, and I got more involved. I got embraced by the brotherhood of the fire department. That's where my English got better, and I grew up with
And their Spanish got better. Oh no,
yeah,
maybe not.
a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's where I grew up more as a person and got mostly assimilated to the United States culture.
So, and talking about assimilation, you're a naturalized citizen at this point, correct?
Correct.
How was that process of naturalization for you?
So the process was lengthy with a lot of, no, I don't want to say loops, but I want like steps. There were a lot of
Yes.
steps that you needed to follow. First, we came with a work visa from my mom. The company transferred us. So they had the work visa. We have my sister and I had the dependent visa. So
Okay.
we were dependent of my mom. After a while, we got sponsored for the green card, fortunately.
Nice.
And when we started the process of the green card, I don't remember how long the process was, but once we were done with the process, started the 5-year countdown in order to become a U.S. citizen.
5 years.
5 years.
Wow.
Once the 5 years were up, immediately as soon as they were up, I applied to the United States citizenship. You have to pay the fees and do the application that is pretty lengthy and go through the process. And fortunately for me, my application didn't take too long. It was about 3 to 4 months until I got final. When I had the chance to go and do the oral exam.
Right.
For the citizenship.
Right.
Which everything worked out perfectly.
Yes.
And I got the swearing about a month after.
Really? So how many states are in the United States?
50.
And who was the first president of the United States?
Washington.
Well, there you go. So you passed the exam to become a naturalized citizen. Good. Sadly, many people here who've been born and raised here don't know that. So you're well ahead of the pack. But all joking aside, when did you get to Pennsylvania?
I got to Pennsylvania in, if I remember correctly, was the summer of 2021.
Okay.
It's because the first time I came to the Lehigh Valley, going a little further back, was in 2019.
Really?
I was a flight instructor and a flight school here at the Allentown Airport. I was there for a short period of time, for about 6-7 months, went back to Jersey to another flight school. After working in that place for 2 years, I got a job back in Allentown flying a private jet. And
right.
That's when I moved back here in September 2021.
Okay. How did you become a pilot? How long did that take?
Well, originally I became a pilot because my dad was a pilot.
Oh, neat.
And that's what kind of
inspired you. Yeah.
I started taking flight lessons in 2015. It took me a little bit longer to finish my private pilot license because I was doing that, plus the fire academy, plus college. So I kind of overwhelmed myself, and unfortunately, pilot went for the side a little bit while I was doing the fire academy and finishing up the associate's degree. When I was done with the associate's degree, I went full on finishing flight school. Midway through the associate, I finished my private, so it took me about 2 years. It could have been a little bit faster, but again, I was loading myself too much. Then after that, the associates, I went full-time at flight school, and I was done within 9 months. I was already a flying instructor.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, it seems like overwhelming yourself is something that did you well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes, yeah.
Towards the end, yeah.
Towards the end. No, that's fantastic. That's a great story. So you became involved politically here in Pennsylvania once you got here. How do you describe yourself politically? Like, what's your perspective on politics? How that works for you?
Mm-hmm. So for me, I consider myself being center-right.
Mm-hmm.
More on the conservative side, in fiscally conservative,
right,
and pretty much center when it comes socially.
Right.
I'm more on a libertarian, like you do what you want to do as long as you're an adult.
Amen.
That's my mentality.
Yeah, a big liberty thing.
Exactly. If you want to do whatever, be my guest as long as you don't affect anybody else, and if you're above 18, don't bother people underage, and
right.
That's it.
Right.
Just you be you. And what got me more involved into politics was the situation in Venezuela, seeing how Venezuela developed, broke down, and got destroyed, and seeing how my grandparents escaped Cuba because of the same, and they went to Venezuela. They lived
Yes.
it twice. And I've seen it in many different Latin American countries happening. I was like, you know what? It's too easy to be complaining like, this is going downhill, or this they are not doing this right, or whatever. It's really easy to run and complain, but it's more important for me to actually do something,
Mm, mm.
because at least trying to do something, I say, well, if I'm complaining, I'm trying to change what I'm complaining about, not just complaining and letting it be.
Right, right. I mean, obviously, there's a bit of a phenomenon politically going on in New York City right
Mhm.
now with the Mandami primary victory and such. What's your perspective or take on that?
So, my take on that is that New York needs to listen to the people that escaped communism. Many people that live in New York are originally from Russia, Poland, many Eastern countries that were under the Soviet
Yes.
Union.
Yeah.
And Venezuelans live there. Many people that left communist countries and socialists, which is one step of the other, they need to listen to those people.
Mm-hmm.
They need to realize that mm, that you don't need to live it like they don't need to live it to come to realize what we experience. We are humans. We can learn from other people's mistakes.
Right.
And I think electing a socialist or communist to any position in the United States is a bad idea. It's a slippery slope that is gonna end up bringing us to what happened in Venezuela, what is happening in Mexico now,
Yes.
what's happening in Argentina until Milei came in. All these different countries that started the same way. No, we are whatever country. We are not Cuba or we are not Venezuela. It's not happening here. The communism is good because all those other countries are just corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, you tell me the United States government is corrupt, and that's why communism didn't work in all of those places.
Correct.
But then you say communism is going to work here. You cannot have it both ways.
Right. I mean, I would have to say that I'm very sympathetic to the rise in sentiment by the citizens of New York that are crying out for some solution to better their circumstances. But again, that these socialist ideas are so seductive, yet at the end, it's an effort simply to consolidate power to the politicians and just freeze out eventually with force everybody who voted those people into power in the first place.
Correct. It's a stereotypical communist playbook or socialist playbook in which they just come to you, talk to you about little beautiful things. They tell you, is everybody helping each other, and we're just gonna hold hands
And free
and
this
free,
and free that.
and nobody's gonna be that far ahead of other ones because we're all equal. As humans, we're equal. That's completely understandable. But the way that communism goes is they try to lure you in, and then they just start increasing the rhetoric more and more and more. If you were going to New York City 20
Right.
years ago and ask and say, hey, you're going to have a communist running for mayor and won the Democratic primary, everybody will laugh at you and say, no, it's not going to happen here. We'll never have a communist doing that. 20 years later,
There you
now
are.
here we are.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. What's the situation I see in the United States is the boiling frog. They are turning the heat little by little, and people is getting used to and making it crazy, extending the rhetoric.
Slow, consistent steps
Correct.
towards an ultimate end that really come across as innocuous, slow, oh, this isn't harmful, and then eventually you're trapped
Correct.
and you're dead, you're gone.
Yeah, and some people may wake up and it might be too late. Some other people might never wake up and stay on the mentality.
Yeah.
I know many people in Venezuela that fell for the trick, and then they realized they messed up and they tried to correct course, reverse it, but it was too late, or they end up leaving Venezuela. And I know people in Venezuela that until the day they die from old age or whatever, they still believe that the Bolivarian revolution was the best thing that ever happened to the country. Even though the country was collapsing, their family were leaving because they couldn't
They
live.
can't sustain
They can
life.
sustain it. And these particular people lost their family because everybody left the country. And they still, until the day they die, they say, there's nothing better than the Bolivarian Revolution.
Yeah, that's a shame. That's a shame. I mean, obviously, I think we share a little bit of perspective, more than a little bit of perspective, that we view economic opportunity through the better employment, the better wages and such under a program of fostering this country first over others
Mhm.
and stopping typical inflationary tactics that only benefit the moneyed class, such as money printing and other tactics that have really poorly served the young people, especially, and freezing them out from the economy that I know that I enjoyed growing up in the 1980s and such, and 1990s. So you're obviously wanting to try to prevent the same outcome here in Pennsylvania, in Northampton County, I would imagine.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The perspective that you have as far as how, and you're running for county council,
Mhm.
how the county is run right now, and some of the risks that we're facing here at this point.
So there are several things on the county that, let's say, could be better. I'm not gonna say that they're doing the things that are occurring right now. I'm not gonna say they're doing it because they're evil people or they're bad people. It may just be somebody being sitting in power for too long. They just get used to and they lose the
Too
track of
comfortable.
too comfortable and they lose track of what the goals are.
Right.
Or it may be just mismanagement or simple, they didn't know.
Right.
I want to give people the benefit of the doubt, no matter who they are. Because,
Right.
But that being said, there are many things in this county that can be improved, and they need to be improved.
Yeah, I would have to say so. I mean, I have more specific concerns. I would have to
Mhm.
say I have more pointed concerns. I know that, for example, the current county executive is Lamont McClure, is it?
Correct.
Right. So that under his leadership, there's been several problems over the course of time in the county.
Mhm.
The two that come to mind specifically are with regard to how the elections were run. I know that
Okay.
he's had to replace the elections officials there twice over consistently malfunctioning
Mhm.
equipment and other problems. And in this day and age, I find it unbelievable that an economy such as ours, with artificial intelligence
Mhm.
and as technologically advanced as we are, that running a simple election in a county such as ours is so difficult. The second thing that I really have a large problem with is, and I know you've worked with this with Tom Giovanni and
Mhm.
such, that the way that Graysdale's been run, at least on the financial side, there's been some accounting problems. What's your understanding of that situation?
So when it comes to Graysdale,
And Graysdale is a retirement community
correct.
that's county run and managed.
Mhm.
Lehigh County has Cedar Brook, for example. Northampton County has Graysdale, and this is for the benefit of our senior citizens
Correct.
who are struggling to find housing and care
Mhm.
on their own, whether because of economic reasons or others,
Yeah.
and such. So I just wanted to append with that or
Mhm.
add that, but explain to me a little bit the most recent accounting problems that there've been.
The most recent accounting problems on Graysdale is that there was money that was allocated
Right.
for bonuses for the employees.
Okay.
And if I recall,
And that was awarded by the county?
if I recall correctly, that was COVID money
Okay.
that the county, when they received it, said, okay, this money is gonna go as bonuses for our employees for the hard work and everything.
Clearly, especially if it was COVID related during those very difficult times.
Correct. So what happened is that that money just, let's say, disappear
Yeah. Uh-huh.
for a short period of time. Nobody knows where the money went.
Right.
So some members of the county council, they receive complaints from people from Graysdale say, hey, we didn't receive our bonus. It's like, what
Right.
do you mean? So they launch an investigation. And what it came up to be is that the money that was designated for bonuses was not used for bonuses, and it was used to pay employees for overtime.
Oh, wow.
So when the county says, okay, this money is supposed to go for X, it's supposed to go for X. It cannot go for Y without any prior approval.
Right.
So the issue came that that money was used for the overtime, and nobody on the county council was informed until the employees came and talked to some of the councilmen saying, hey, we did not get our bonus, and that's when the investigation was launched, and we found out that the money went to where it wasn't supposed to.
And with that being the case, what did you find through the investigation?
So when it comes to the investigation, I don't have too much information when it comes to that. That's more of the people that is right now working on the council. But what they came up is that, yeah, the money was used for the overtime instead of for the bonuses, and they're trying to figure out what else
How that happened.
How that happened.
Right.
Something I do know is that the people that may have done that mismanagement of money got fired. I think they were fired or they were transferred to other positions.
Okay.
Before the
dispersal of the funds.
No, before the report came out.
Okay. Okay.
So my understanding is, because I'm not in the right, I'm not currently on the council. My understanding is the people got removed before they have a chance to speak up and say, "Hey, answer the questions of why did you do this or
right,
anything."
Right.
So I don't know if I don't want to say they were maliciously fired to cover something up, or they just happened that got fired for other reasons. I'm just saying these are the things that are happening right now. Why are the reasons that they happen? That will be interesting to know.
Yeah, and it was an amount close to $3 million. Is that correct? Yeah, I mean that's a lot of money at a county home to not be able to account for correctly, and especially when what I find ironic is this is meant for overtime for our local people who are working in our community, and for someone such as Lamont McClure, who's a Democrat, supposedly so concerned about the workers and the people here in the community, that he would not be able to manage or not be able to account for $3 million that was supposed to go to them.
Correct. And not just that, it's not just the money. When it comes to Graysdale, the employees are demoralized. They're like, the morale is really low.
Of course. I mean, if they don't get overtime that they're supposed to get, among other things.
So not just that, the amount that they get paid is not as much as other counties nearby. The working conditions are not the greatest at this point. I have talked to a couple of Graysdale nurses and retired nurses, and they say something needs to change. Things used to be better before. Actually, I also talked to somebody that used to work handyman and an electrical job there, and he says, yeah, Graysdale used to be so good, and now it's just falling apart.
That's a shame.
And again, that's one of the ways the county is supposed to help the most vulnerable people. Right. In this case, we're talking about our senior citizens.
Clearly.
And if the place is falling apart, the morale is on the floor, it's ultimately going to affect not just employees, but the senior citizens that are needing us to survive,
to help them. I mean,
to help them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's something that really needs to be changed. We need to go down to the issue and see, okay, talk to the people in Graysdale. What do you think that is going wrong? Why the morale is so low? And figure out a way how to move forward by addressing those issues and making Graysdale profitable again, by saying
profitable for the people who benefit from the services.
And not just that, but also for the taxpayer. Because if the better condition that Graysdale is, and the more patients or elderly are in Graysdale, the government gives money, the federal government gives money for those elderly people. Yep. So with that money, Graysdale can keep operating itself without costing extra taxpayer money in Northampton County to keep the place running.
Absolutely.
We don't want to close a place. We want it to be self-sufficient.
Clearly.
In order to be self-sufficient, it needs to be better morale. The money that is there it needs to be accounted and needs to be kept track for.
Clearly.
And also improve the conditions so there is more people that are are willing and wanting to live there, or wanting.
Just a question of better leadership and better management.
Correct.
That's great. That's great. I'm glad you're inspired to help our seniors that way.
Yeah.
Let's take a 2-minute break and then we'll continue on this topic and others that I find very interesting. Thank you, Daniel.
Yep, sounds good.
So, but continuing our conversation a little bit about Graysdale, and I don't want to get overly technical, but Tara Zarinsky, who was Lamont McClure's appointed controller and auditor, then looked over this situation at Graysdale and gave Lamont a pass for $3 million that wasn't properly accounted for.
Correct. Maybe it should be independent auditing that should happen.
Yeah.
But that's something that the county.
That's politics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm concerned about as a resident. What I guess I'm also concerned about in that regard is now Tara Zarinsky wants Lamont McClure's job. And somehow Lamont McClure thinks he can run for Congress with that type of track record, which is disturbing.
Yeah, but let's see what actually happens with Lamont and Tara.
Yeah.
We just need to keep an eye open on how things develop, and also keep the goal in mind that, hey, they haven't been doing a great job. We can do a better job, and we need to make people know that we can do a much better job. And once we get into office, start straightening the ship.
Straightening the books out.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, I hope as a Northampton County resident that's something that you take up when you're elected to council.
Correct.
So in going towards a situation with regard to Graysdale that we just talked about, another issue that I think is very important and on everybody's mind is how bad our taxes are, how poorly managed our tax money really is. What will you do once you're in council at Northampton County about taxes, about financial management for us?
So what we need to do is make the county run efficiently. Before, with the same level of taxes, the county was running efficiently and there was a rainy day fund. What we need to do is go back to the efficiency, build up the rainy day fund again. Once the fund is big enough,
consistently.
And consistently, correct.
Right.
Once we're consistently growing the rainy day fund, I'll personally bring down the possibility of lowering the taxes.
Right. So, I mean, you've experienced and I've experienced, I'm in the real estate business and I've seen residents really struggle to pay their taxes. You had a specific encounter when you were door to door in the county. Talk to me about that.
Correct. When I was doing door knocking about a couple of weeks ago, I knocked to this house of this elderly woman, and she said, "Hey, unfortunately, I'm gonna be moving soon." I saw the foreclosure sign, the sale sign outside, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be leaving. I'm not sure when I'm gonna leave." I'm like, "Well, what happened?" "Unfortunately, my husband passed away recently. The money I received from pension is not enough. I cannot afford the taxes of the house. So unfortunately, I cannot live here anymore." And when I talked to her at that moment, she didn't know where she was gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, that speaks to me because I know, again, being in real estate, how many elderly are getting taxed out of their homes.
Correct.
I mean, seniors cannot, they pay off the house and then all of a sudden these taxes just continue to overwhelm them, as well as the cost of upkeeping, etc. And they have to sell because of that. And I'm glad that you're taking that perspective because we live in an era where taxes never go down. I mean, you're always paying more for less, and it's disturbing to me.
Correct, and not just that, it's disturbing that the elderly that worked so hard all these years, bringing this great country to where it became, now they're being forgotten.
Yeah,
they're being left behind. They're losing their house because they cannot afford the taxes that are continually growing.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to the sheriff's sale list at Northampton County of people who can't pay their taxes, people can't afford to live. It grows every single month that I see that list come out, and it's scary. I'll be frank. That's a scary thing. I mean, time passes for everybody. You do the right thing, you pay your home off, and then all of a sudden you're losing your home because you can't afford to pay the real estate taxes.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, it's a tragedy, and that shouldn't happen in this country.
Agree.
So moving towards taxes and such, from that issue to, again, I remember a time in the Lehigh Valley when we had Western Electric here, we had Bethlehem Steel here, technology leaders such as Lucent and Agir, And right now, it just seems like all we have in the area are all these warehouses and congestion
Correct.
everywhere. What's your perspective on that?
My perspective is that the warehouses certainly bring some issues, especially when it comes to infrastructure. The
Yeah,
infrastructure in the county in this hasn't been upgraded before the construction of all these warehouses.
right.
Yes,
It's been poorly thought out.
correct.
Again, poorly managed.
We have several arteries which are important for the commerce of the states, but unfortunately, they're getting overwhelmed. The
Yeah,
streets are getting broken. The streets are breaking down,
yeah,
and it's affecting the citizens of this county,
yeah.
which is something that we need to get to the point of how we're going to improve the situation for everybody, improving the infrastructure, and not just infrastructure, but also bringing other sources of revenue to the county.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to depend on warehouses, bring other companies, research companies, or other
Technology
manufacturers,
companies,
technology,
manufacturing
correct.
companies, right?
And what we need to do is make the Lehigh Valley attractive for them to come here, improve the situation on the Lehigh Valley, and with that, we have to think about, we need to have people that are trained to work on those companies.
Right,
And that's something that I want to spearhead when it comes to the school and STEM.
right.
I want to spear an initiative where the schools actually work with the companies that are looking to come into the Lehigh Valley,
Right.
and say, hey, we want to come in, we need these people trained this way,
Mm-hmm.
and help, and spearhead in order for the school have that bridge between the schools and the companies in order to create those programs so that people can be trained to fulfill their job requirements that are going to be coming in, which is going to help the Lehigh Valley grow and the people in the Lehigh Valley grow as well.
See, and that's the major difference between the perspective that a candidate, a local candidate in New York City, Mandami, who we talked about,
Mhm.
is you're trying to give people opportunity,
Correct.
grow through employment,
Mhm.
grow through learning, grow through education,
Yeah.
not just by handouts.
Correct. There is a well-known phrase say, give a person a fish, they'll eat one day. Teach them how to fish, they'll eat the rest of their life.
Yeah,
And-
and have a family and be able to
Correct.
afford having a family and raising them here. What I find very disturbing is that the county management at this point in
Mhm.
time, Tara Zorinsky again and Lamont McClure, both served on various commissions, Lehigh Valley Planning Commission and other bodies that are supposed to regulate better infrastructure, do more to manage the growth better. And with as congested as the roads are, as poor condition as the
Yeah.
roads are in, and all the accidents day after day after day, people dying because of the mismanagement of the people that are supposed to be taking care of us.
And that's why it's important for people to come out and vote for a different path, a change.
Yeah, we have to do something different.
Correct. And the only way we can do that change is by getting all of us across the line so we can help Tom Giovanni straighten the ship and start fixing the Northampton County.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree in that regard, clearly. And I really do appreciate the perspective that you have. And while there might be some limitation to what the county can do versus the school districts and such, you're pressing on that issue to continue to develop the mindset of not just improving the workforce here, not just for companies, but for entrepreneurs and such, for people who want to come here and do create things in the Lehigh Valley. That's a real blessing. It warms my heart as a Northampton County resident.
And again, coming from Venezuela, seeing in a place that the government takes control of everything and squash the entrepreneurship and initiative of people to create jobs and everything, I have lived firsthand what happens when you squash that initiative, and that will be the end for the county and this country. So that's something we need to promote.
Yeah, clearly. And I really appreciate, as someone who is third or fourth generation American myself, that we have people like yourself, new immigrants, come to the area who want to continue the American way of developing the country here and not just take advantage or try to go for a handout of any sorts, but to come here to work hard and to build not just this area, but the country generally.
Correct. Yeah.
So anyway, tell me a little bit more about your Latin background.
So my Latin background, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, one side of my family came from Cuba.
That's amazing.
Yeah, my granddad was in college, becoming a doctor when the Communist Revolution happened, and he left Cuba to Venezuela right before Fidel Castro took control of everything and closed the island.
Yeah.
And he got to Venezuela with absolutely nothing. With my grandmother, they just have a little bit money that they receive as wedding present, and they were living in a midway house while my granddad was going to school to finish up becoming a doctor. My grandmother was working odd jobs just to have enough money to pay everything. Once my granddad became a doctor, he rose, got a house or an apartment, and raised my mom and my two uncles. He did such a great job. All of them went and become and do something with their lives.
Yeah, productive citizens.
My mom worked at the company that she was working. One of my uncle was working for petrochemical company. Now he lives in Canada because he had to leave Venezuela.
Yeah.
My other uncle used to work at a supermarket chain. That with all the situation in Venezuela, they still managed to grow the chain. That's a testament of how great that company.
How hardworking.
Yeah.
Yep.
They managed to move forward. Now, then that was one side of my family. The other side, they were in Venezuela for hundreds of years. They came originally from Spain and the Netherlands. And also from my mom's side, also came from Spain. But we had a little bit coming from the Netherlands and Spanish area. They were in Venezuela for about 200 years. So that's what my whole background comes farther back.
Yeah, I mean, I love the beautiful tapestry of immigrants that we have in the Lehigh Valley. Various people that have come here over the years in order to build the community into what it was, and I really appreciate the fact. I mean, you're a pilot, you're a local firefighter, you're a homeowner. I mean, you're the American dream. I mean, it's amazing. Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you thought would be good to know about you running for county council?
Talking really quick about the American dream.
Yeah.
I was the first of my family from both sides of my cousins and everything to be able to, and my parents and uncles, that I was able to buy a house with the help of anybody. That only can happen in this country.
Amen.
In Venezuela, it wouldn't have happened. Some of my cousins are still living with my uncles because they cannot afford to live because the situation. Many of them left the country and in Europe.
Yeah, terrible inflation, terrible.
Correct. And that's something that is important for people to understand. With many issues that everywhere in the world happen, and this country may have, this still is by far one of the greatest countries and one with the greatest opportunities that there are. And my goal is to keep those opportunities alive in the Northampton County area.
That's great. Well, Daniel, it's a pleasure to talk to you again. We've talked many times before this. I appreciate your stepping out and running for office, and I look forward to seeing you on county council.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.